Welcome back to the Here to Uplift podcast. This is your host, Lolo Fisher, and it's been a while. And this is not necessarily the start of a new series yet. This is a bit impromptu, but I got a message that I feel is worth sharing, even ahead of the scheduled podcast episodes that are going to be coming soon. Light plug, all right? Be on the wait. It's going to be good. Trust me. But here's what this one's about: getting in order, getting your things together. I had an eye opening conversation with my hairstylist recently. Shout out to Tay, that I felt was worth sharing with you. If you know anything about Black girls and their hair, which, not exclusive completely, anybody could take a long time to get their hair done. But if you know about Black girls and their hair, our appointments can take a while, which means we got a lot of time to talk and chat. So in my takedown service appointment, taking down all these locks and braids and then getting a silk press, we were chatting. And part of our conversation, especially being around faith and our experiences of taking steps in faith that might be scary or unpredictable or lead us into unknown factors, and also the blessings that have come from the steps we have taken, we started realizing how many small, seemingly insignificant things we tend to let slide in our lives. Things that, how did we phrase it? Things that were out of order that we often get comfortable with. Like, we don't even realize we're being stagnant in certain areas of our lives that maybe we didn't tend to, like unpaid parking tickets, being behind on taxes, or maybe debt that we're avoiding paying or feel that we've been wronged. So we just kind of like leave it on the back end and it's hanging over our heads and we try to ignore it. But at the end of the day, when we really think of what's been taken care of or what's not in order, it pops back up. Or maybe it's the dishes that have been piling up, giving you the side eye every time you walk by, or those messages from friends that we really care about, but we never quite get around to answering for whatever reason. I'm raising my hand. I'm ducking my head even as I say this, because full transparency, many of these things I've listed, I've struggled with too, and am working to fix and tend to. And the reality is, we all have our versions of this. Life is messy. We as humans are messy, and there is so much on our plates, oftentimes by choice, but a lot of times things that are outside of our control too that keep piling up. So those areas of life that we're putting off, let's not ignore them anymore. It's too easy to ignore them or convince ourselves that we'll handle them later. And then later really never comes, right? So I don't share this story to shame anyone. In fact, I'm right there with you. Like I said, I'm actively working on these things too. This was a very recent and raw conversation that I had with Tay. But I am, if you're listening to this, I am sort of gently calling you out. It's time to get your things together. Handle your unfinished business and get your life in order. Why? What's the point? Because greater things await you. A life well lived requires a certain level of order and obedience. You can't fully embrace the blessings and opportunities that are ahead of you if you're constantly weighed down by things that are off track or unfinished. I always think about my meetings too, even in our AKA chapter meetings, there's always a category for unfinished business. And sometimes it's empty. There's nothing on the agenda in that category. But in reality, we finish the meeting and there's things that it's like, ooh, what about this? And what about this? And what about this? So taking perspective out of that meeting, how are we doing that in our lives? What's the unfinished business that we're putting on the back burner or not prioritizing or not getting handled for whatever reason? So in that reflection, I always like to be perceptive of how we're experiencing it, but also intentional about how we take action, right? Because getting a message, getting inspiration or something means nothing if we don't take action on it in our lives and apply it. That's kind of that difference between inspiration, knowledge, and wisdom, right? Wisdom is the application of knowledge and inspiration with experience. So, how do we start? I broke it down to 3 areas of our lives that we can focus on getting in order this month. And that first category is known to be one of the biggest stressors and to have negative impacts in relationships when not handled well. And this relationship can be with a spouse, with a partner, with friends, family, and even with yourself. And you probably know what I'm talking about. It's probably already in your head. That first category is financial health. Whether it's catching up on bills, organizing your tax documents, or setting a budget, your financial health impacts every area of your life. And I'm not talking about chasing money. That's not my point here, right? Money is not the end all be all goal. Money is not something to chase. Money is a resource that we can utilize to reach our goals, to find stability for ourselves and our families, and to build the kingdom, right? Money can also be an anchor and a weight that takes you down if you don't steward it well or if you don't understand it. So take a few minutes today to organize your finances and figure out what things in your financial realm might be lingering, unattended to, unaccounted for, and what your financial goals are. Small steps can lead to big results. The second category is relationships and communication. So this is a question you can ask yourself to make it simple. Have you been putting off reconnecting with friends, family, or colleagues? Another question, are there messages or people you've been avoiding? And third question that I often find myself asking is, what's holding you back from responding to those people, those messages? Sometimes we're waiting for the perfect time or to be in the right headspace to talk with someone about something, but that also kind of takes away our humanness if we're always trying to be perfect in how we respond. If it was in person, right? That text, that call, if it was in person and you ran into that person, you're going to respond. You're not just going to stand in front of them as they're talking to you and ignore them. So I think we need to treat it that way sometimes. And yes, I'm talking to myself. So for the people that I need to respond to still, messages are coming because I'm calling myself out, all right? Reaching out and having the hard conversations is a way to clear mental and emotional clutter and build stronger connections. So it's going to help you build your relationships when you really take an audit in this area. And it's also going to give you more clarity and more heart space, because our hearts can get full of the wrong things sometimes too. All right. So pour into your own heart and mind space by attending to those messages and letting the people that you care about know that you care about them. Okay, let's jump to the next one. That third category is your physical space. Is your environment supporting you or draining you? I think about this one all the time, especially working in real estate, obviously, and seeing so many homes. And I thought of this especially, it was a couple weeks ago. I was hosting an open house and the home is vacant. It's staged. So, right, it looks beautiful in terms of the staging, but it may not always be exactly realistic for the person that walks in that door and sees the space for themselves and considers whether they want to live there or not. I had this family come in and I remember the daughter ran through the house, quite literally. She ran through the house and the parents are all embarrassed, oh my gosh, come back. And I was like, it's okay. You have to imagine if this home would be a good fit for you in reality, and your daughter running through the house, if that's what she does at home, you're experiencing it real time, right? So the daughter runs through the house and then she comes back up to the front with this boldness and says to me, she's looking right at me, standing in front of me, and she says so confidently, "This home is amazing. Our home is so messy. It doesn't look like this at all. And she said it so clearly. You could see the look on the mom's face. Like her face turned flush red. She was kind of embarrassed because her daughter just called out the mess. But that's the reality, right? We step into spaces sometimes and we're like in awe, but we don't know how to turn our own environments into a space that feels as amazing and as comfortable and as spacious as that. So I ask again, is your environment supporting you or draining you? Sometimes cleaning out that closet or clearing off your desk can bring a sense of calm and order to your life. I reconfigured my whole desk space this past week after having this conversation. And while there's a lot of the home that I still kind of want to reorganize and take care of, even that one thing made a huge difference in my mind space, being less cluttered when it comes to working from home or recording content, even kind of helped me record this podcast and feel comfortable doing so. My point, getting off my tangents, your physical space directly impacts your mental clarity and sense of peace. So, what can you do to help your environment support you more and drain you less? Those are the three categories: financial health, relationships and communication, and physical space. Take an audit of what things in these categories are out of order in your life right now and think about how you can put them in order. If you need some more science to back it up, I like pulling on this one a lot and I like reminding myself of it. A study from Princeton University Neuroscience Institute found that physical clutter in your environment can negatively impact your brain's ability to focus and process information. And that leads to increased stress and difficulty completing tasks. There's other studies out there that talk about digital clutter having this same impact. And even in the church space, we talk a lot about how harboring unforgiveness can hurt you and your emotional capacity and ability to care for others more than the person that you're bitter about or whatever experiencing it was that you probably forgot about and you're still holding on to the feeling, right? So we know it translates. And even as I speak about this, you might be thinking, wait, like, isn't Lola working in real estate now? Like, where is this coming from? What does this have to do with real estate? For me, it all connects. Just as we work to get our lives in order, we need to approach our homes in the same way. Whether you are buying, selling, or still renting and just dreaming of buying, your home is more than just a structure. It's a place where life happens. At least that's how I see it, right? It's not, we talk about lifestyle. Let me go back a little bit. It's a place where life happens because it's part of your lifestyle. Are you living by design or are you just stuck in survival mode? I don't want to be in survival mode anymore, right? I've been there. Sometimes I go back because survival mode is more of a mindset, but it does affect your lifestyle. So your home is really the foundation for your goals. It's the foundation for your family, your growth. When you take the time to actually design your space with intention and purpose, then you realize it's not just about finding a house. It's about creating and fostering a home that supports your bigger vision for a life well lived. So, subtle, not so subtle plug. If you are thinking about buying or selling, let's get those ducks in a row together. The right home can set the tone for a more organized, intentional, and fulfilling life. You know what? I even think as I say this, I get more inspiration thinking about some of my favorite quotes. If you need to hear it from someone else and not from me, take it from Malcolm X, one of my favorite quotes from him. He says, "The future belongs to those who prepare for it today." When I'm talking about get your things in order, get your life in order, it's about preparation. You don't know what opportunities are coming your way, but opportunity awaits, friends. It is around the corner. There are things that God has waiting for you that you don't even realize are right around the corner, are that next door open, are that next step of faith that you take when you see that little sense of risk and you're like, I feel in my heart it's time for me to go for it. It's right there. But if your things aren't in order, if your finances aren't ready, if you have something hanging over your head that's going to pull you back, weigh you down, or close that door of opportunity for you, you're going to get those opportunities taken away, or you're not going to be ready for it and you're going to mess it up. Not speaking that into anybody's life, that is why I'm calling you out and saying get your things in order so that that doesn't happen, so that you are prepared and ready for the beautiful future, next steps, pathways, and opportunities that await you. One more quote I want to share from John C. Maxwell. He says, "The only adequate preparation for tomorrow is the right use of today." You woke up today for a reason. You are breathing right now for a reason. And I believe you're hearing this podcast for a reason. Please remember, friends, greater things are coming your way, but getting in order is the first step. Whew. It was a message on my heart. I had to share it. I hope it spoke to somebody. If you have been following the podcast for a while, thank you for tuning into this impromptu message. And if you are new and hearing the Here to Uplift podcast for the first time, please go ahead and subscribe, because I think greater things are coming for this podcast as well. And I know that some greater things are in store that we actually have planned. So whether it's impromptu messages like this or an upcoming series that I am so excited to share with y'all real soon, there's greater things coming. All right. With love, with encouragement, I want you to live well. I want you to live better, and I want you to live more. Until the next time you hear my voice, and until the next time we connect in person, bye now.